That's the most Tory thing I've ever heard.
Why have you left out your parents?
And he's became. I just love Max's face. He went.
Well, Max will sleep well tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that information at all.
And welcome back to the Antisocial podcast, brought to you by Adrian Flux. Today we are met with a wonderful, handsome, charming young man called...
And Max is here as well.
Max, hello mate. Welcome
Hello,
to
mate.
the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. It's nice to be here. I like this.
Should we give him a clap? Who haven't given
Yeah,
him a
let's
clap?
not clap. Everyone gets a clap.
If he's not already got the clap. And this is the Halloween special. Ooh, spooky. So we thought we'd get the most terrifying thing on, which is a private school student. We've even got the pumpkins out. Do you like them?
Hey, don't ask me to rate your pumpkins. Just slag me off. Yes, the pumpkins are fine.
Yeah. How's your cup of tea?
Great. I'm having actually. Cam offered me something called biscuit
So
tea.
I said to Max, do you want a cup of tea? He was like, I don't drink normal tea, I want biscuit tea. So we had to go to the shop and buy him biscuit tea. So it's fine, you know, you've got to deal with this when you get the big people on.
Yeah, it does taste like you've dunked a biscuit in.
Egos are mad these days on YouTube,
Yeah,
aren't they?
Is that a biscuit tea as well?
That is a biscuit tea.
It does smell like...
Charlie's got his local football team on his mug. Coming Dunfermline. He's a big fan.
Dunfermline FC.
Also, guys, when you were buying the Antisocial mugs, did you not realise that there were three of you at least hosting?
Well, actually, it was only going to be like just me and Cam, but we felt
It was. They felt sorry for me. So
We love doing charity work.
Yeah, they did.
something we do a lot on this channel. But no, if anything, Dunfermline is your local because that's where your mum's from. So
It is, yeah.
there you go.
My mum and Lewis are from the same town, pretty much,
Which is
it's
really
close.
funny.
It's very strange.
Well, Max will sleep well tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that information at all.
You know what? That's really interesting, Charlie. Yeah. I'm glad I came on this podcast.
When I do meet your mum, I'll make sure to mention it.
I just love Max's face. He went.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah, so glad I know. Should we talk about how we all kind of know each other?
Yeah.
Pretty much, so to speak. As like Max, we met for the first time on. It was the Sidemen.
Yeah, it was a Sidemen video. I've only met Charlie, so Lewis and Cam. What a pleasure, what an honour.
What an honour.
What an honour.
Speak for yourself.
But no, I know Charlie. I've met Charlie once because I was on a Sidemen video, the Dragon's Den video, when Becky dressed me up as a pint, and
was cute. You wore that well.
KSI then started to bid for me as a slave. Like, I remember just standing there and just being like, what is going on?
Wait, how did that all come about? Did Betty just message you?
Yeah, so Becky sent me a message saying, call me. It's like, hi Max, what are you doing tomorrow? I was like, not much. Why? I hate when people do that, first of all, because you never know what to say.
You always think it's something bad. Never anything good.
Exactly. I was like, I might be. Why? She's like, well, do you want to dress up as a pint for a Sidemen video? And I was like, yes, I do. Thank you very much. I will kind of completely degrade myself to 20 million people. That's completely fine.
The 12-year-old Max think his first feature in a Sidemen video would be dressing up as a pint.
Yeah, and so we went along, and I didn't know it was Dragon's Den. And I rocked up, and Becky was like, all you need to know is that you need to come dressed as a pint. And she had made different drinks that were, I mean, lots of people have seen it. She'd made different drinks that represented each of the Sidemen. But I also didn't know that also all of like the big, like lots of the biggest UK YouTubers were going to be there.
Yeah.
Like Nico and everyone.
Nico was there, Calix was there, Freezy, Stephen Tries, and like so
I think my invite was lost on
Yeah.
the
Turns up in a fucking pint.
Exactly. So this is the first time I'd met all of these like big YouTubers, and I was just stood there in a pint that Becky had obviously worn for Halloween the time before I hadn't washed it.
Everyone's looking at him like, oh, is that the Make-A-Wish?
Yeah, exactly. Zach and Jay bought llamas, and Becky bought me.
That was iconic. Were you nervous for it when you rocked up?
Not really,
because
because I knew that I'd already degraded myself enough by wearing a pint costume.
It's only up from there, really, isn't it?
I didn't think that there wasn't much that I could do wrong in that scenario. I was there purely as someone to stand there and to look silly. So anything extra was just a bonus. So I went up and I kind of was stood there, and Becky was doing the unveiling, and I think there's a few shots of me just looking incredibly awkward. And then obviously the content just turns to not how much money they're going to bid for Becky's products. It's how much do I cost? So I then
How much do you cost, by the way, for
I
like
mean,
a night? Or,
I mean, not enough.
oh, not enough.
Buy him a breakfast tea and he's yours.
Yeah, give me breakfast, tea, and a smile, and I'll do anything. And so yeah, I think we did that, and as it was finishing up, Harry came up to me and just went, "You that guy who did kind of like that Fashion Week video, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, cool. I was like, then I went home.
Well, that was a wild day, wasn't it?
What a day!
That is possibly the most Harry interaction I've ever heard in my life.
Were you like a fan of any of them before you did YouTube? Like, or did you not know of them? Or?
I'd started watching YouTube quite late, so I remember
really?
when I was at school watching Heskey Time, and like people were talking about Heskey Time, and KSI. So I think I all knew who they were. I don't think I'd watched any of their content individually as like creators.
Was there anyone you watched religiously?
I think the first person I watched religiously was Casey Neistat. That's when I
Oh.
got into YouTube
Yeah,
the first time
same as
round.
me.
Was like the New York vlogs was Casey, and then from there it's kind of because I've got into YouTube. I think I've watched people who are in the UK YouTube scene. I actually watched a lot of Cam because I was at Newcastle at uni, and so I was watching a lot of Cam. I was watching a lot of Will. And then it's
just to
kind
get
of
used to the city, you start
Yeah.
watching Cam Kirkland and Will and Is.
it's like, okay, this is what I've got myself in for. But no, actually, funnily enough, Newcastle, I'd never been to Newcastle for my first day at university there. And I remember walking down Grey Street and thinking, God, I thought it was just going to look like Billy Elliot. I thought it was going to be like lines of terrace houses and coal miners everywhere. I was like, God, this is actually a really nice city.
Grey Street's the poshest street in Newcastle.
Yeah.
So pick the best one.
That's why I was there.
That's the most Tory thing I've ever heard. Well, I just thought it was going to be like Billy Elliot, just like lines of terraces. Oh, it's actually a
the big
city.
shocking machines at the window.
Chimney sweepers and maids walking down the street.
It was really nice. I really enjoyed it. So I watched, I kind of was going, I never really watched anyone religiously, but I knew that the Sidemen were really big. I watched a lot of Zach Alsop before he became Zach and Jay. And so for me, working in YouTube and meeting all those guys was quite cool. To be like, okay, this is awesome.
Did you speak on the day of Dragon's Den?
We spoke once.
hello.
Charlie was really nice. Charlie came up to me and was like, oh, I really like your videos. I was like, thanks.
You just
That was
dressed as
the
a
end of the
pint.
content.
And I was just
I
like,
don't know what to say.
no, I watched a fair few of yours. What was it? Maximus? Is it Maximilian or Maximus?
It was Maximus Bucharest.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the video that kind of allowed me to kind of do YouTube full time, because it was just a video that banged more than.
What's the concept behind that? Like the thought process of creating the most ridiculous. Like, what was it? Maximus Bucharest by Maximus Bucharest for Maximus Bucharest.
Yeah, so that's what the kind of the idea came about, and so the way that whole thing started was that I'd moved down to London, just finished Newcastle. I was working in a bar. I'd made lots of videos, but was on maybe like 1,500 subscribers and maybe 10,000 likes on Facebook. And I walked past Zach Alsop on the street, and I messaged him on Instagram being like, "Hey mate, you ever need someone to film for you?" And weirdly, he did. So then I became like part of his channel and Zach and Jay. And then after about 3 months of knowing them, they messaged me saying, "Hi mate, we've got this idea to like break you into London Fashion Week. The problem is London Fashion Week finishes in 2 days' time. So
Didn't you just do it right at the end?
we did it right at the end. So it's like, can we meet at yours and just discuss this?" And so at that point, I was like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. They've got like 30,000 subs. I really like their content. Just to be in a video of theirs would be really, really cool. And so we chatted. We went to Primark. We were dressed in silly things. And
Did
then
you feel comfortable walking into Primark?
Fuck's
Yeah.
sake, man.
Can we just reiterate that Charlie also went to private school?
Yes, I felt very comfortable walking into Primark, we went, basically dressed in stupid stuff. Went to this fashion week outside where all the shows were, and we got someone to start flashing the camera and just shouting, "Max, Max, over here," and then that caused loads of paparazzis just to start swarming, and
That's
then
so clever,
from
man.
then it just started to snowball. So then when I was my whole like character was to act like a total dick. So not to speak to anyone. If anyone asked for a picture, like, you have to speak to my manager.
Sorry,
like,
did you say character there?
so it was quite an easy character, and like we filmed that, and it kind of snowballed from there. So we got invited to like a show the next day. So that's when we went proper outlandish. Like we'd got like bubble packaging tape from boxes that you get, and like wore it as a collar. Zach had like shoes that he'd shoes when he'd been in like spend a night in a cell after doing like a jib, and so like we brought all of these things together. I bought Jamie Vardy's autobiography and like read it at this fashion show, and then what was great is that there was loads of shots of like the actual fashion press like covering this this show, but then you can always see me in the second row with this enormous like bubble crown on,
For God's sake.
and like a pink rug.
With things like that, are you nervous in them situations, or do you like thrive in them?
No, I was terrified.
Really?
I
Oh,
was
really?
absolutely terrified. Like I'm a proper at school. I was like a proper like goody two shoes. Like I never really got into trouble, and so doing that was like my worst nightmare. Like not breaking the rules, but just being a bit of a nuisance and like pranksters. And I felt very like YouTube pranky. Kind of like,
But that's strange because with your videos, all of your videos seem to be you pushing yourself out your comfort zone.
yeah, I think in those scenarios with my videos, it's because I'm legitimately allowed to be there, because it's like it might be an odd scenario, but I've got a ticket, or they know I'm coming, or it seems like people are aware that I'm there. But I have to say, I have got better because of that video, because I realised actually what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone's going to kick you out and say, please don't come back. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, literally, that's the worst that will happen.
So that video just kind of, oh God, it went so viral. Like initially, I remember saying to my
Must
sister,
be nice.
yeah, but it was annoying because it wasn't on my channel. So
I suppose,
Zach
yeah.
and Jay, they grew from like 30,000 subs to about 300k
Mental.
within a month.
Did it get 10 million? Was it 10 million?
It's now,
Am I
it's
exaggerating?
hit 20 million.
20?
on YouTube.
Jeez.
Fucking hell, they must be eating well.
Yeah, and then it then kind of went to the next level when it went to Weibo, the like Chinese social media, because someone nicked it, took it off.
I remember you talking about that on
YouTube.
Happy Hour, about
Yeah.
how you're like now famous in China.
Yeah, I was famous in China for about a month because I started getting loads of DMs in Mandarin, and one of them was in English. It's like, mate, you're famous in China. I was like, what do you mean? It's like someone had re-uploaded it to Weibo because they're not allowed YouTube with Mandarin subtitles, and it had got something like 80, 75 million views.
So if you
on
like
there.
got off, if you got off at like the airport in China, would you get swamped?
So there was we tried
We
immediately.
love street smart.
Give us more. So we tried to do. We spent maybe a couple of weeks making content for Weibo.
That's
So,
unreal.
with Maximus Bucharest, we had this guy who was based in Amsterdam, but he was originally from China, who was like adding all the subtitles for us, because I'd read all of these stories of people who had like gone viral in China, and they had basically like been set for life because they'd done like one meet and greet in China or sold some items in China and gone mad.
So did that do well for you?
Not really. I think we just ran out of steam.
That'd be so funny if you just went to China just to see if anyone like recognised you. I mean, in China, like I have ginger mates that have been to China and they get swarmed because they have ginger hair.
Oh yeah, if you're ginger, if you're black, even if you're white, like I was white and bald when I went there, and they stare and look at you, and then they just want to touch. Okay, well, okay, but it's anything that's weird. They just weird to them. They'll be like,
I just
oh,
said
really interesting.
Yeah, no, it's
They don't
normal.
attack you, but
No, I don't think they're going to shank you up. No, they just take photos of you.
no, but that's also the strange thing that they literally stand there and like take a picture of you. Which I
Like they would,
That's quite
some of them were stroking my mates like ginger hair and that,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
stroking it because they'd never like seen it or felt it before.
they have. It's,
So
it's very,
weird.
it's very intriguing. But I think that if you did go to China, that'd be such a good follow-up video.
Well, I think is I did. I went to China for a video in which I stole Zach and Jay's
Yeah,
plaque.
I remember watching that.
So I stole their 100k subscriber plaque and just went to China with it because I wanted to go
As you
as
do.
far as well.
I hope that wasn't this year.
No, that wasn't this year. No, it was actually
Max
this.
caused the pandemic.
It's actually in Wuhan, funnily enough.
Max, what you doing with that bat?
So yeah, I went to China for a video in which I stole their plaque and left it in Shanghai. And unfortunately, there was no swarms of fans when I stepped off the airport.
Maybe
Were
it's
you
the bubble
almost
collar.
disappointed.
Yeah,
You missed
I
the
was
bubble
really
collar.
disappointed. I was kind of expecting.
Should have went in outfit that you
Yeah.
wore that day as well.
Yeah, so it was a weird experience where my channel kind of grew massively from like 1,000 subscribers to like 70k in about 3 weeks. And so although like they obviously kind of really benefited from that because it was on their channel, I don't begrudge that at all because it meant that I could start doing YouTube full time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Talking about your channel, like before we talk about the growth and things, on YouTube, was your first videos the public ones in Newcastle?
Yeah,
Like
that.
because I went back and looked at them because at the time when you were filming them, I didn't see them.
But when
No one did.
Aw.
Rest in peace. Because in Newcastle, people doing that is so strange. So I want to know, what was the initial, when you first started recording them? Were people like, what's he doing? Or were people welcoming it? I
You
want
made
to
a
know.
video on someone that does them type of videos, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you? Was it
Wait,
me?
No, so I was.
Oh, he was shitting himself the other day. The other day he came into my room and he went, Lewis, I think
I've made a video on Max.
I think I might have made a video, Max. I went, what do you mean? He was like, remember that video I did? I was like, yeah. But you checked and you were fine, wasn't it?
That was Soho Student TV. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
They were like my rivals.
My rivals.
It's like Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah. But to answer your question,
Both dead now.
no, because I'm sure you know this, Cam, but if you're a student at the uni in either Northumbria or Newcastle, like there's very much student nights, and then like you don't go out on locals night, so Friday and Saturday you just don't go out. So we would always go out Monday to Thursday.
But they're the best nights.
What, Monday to Thursday? Yeah, totally. And so
Did
all
you
the people
Mondays?
that were there were all students. They weren't locals.
Oh, okay.
I did become mates with one person called Gary. Now, Gary was the busker who stands, if you like, go between Flares and Purdue.
Oh,
That strip there where the municipal building is. There's a guy always with the guitar. He's called Gary. He's this Geordie bloke. And he was simultaneously the loveliest and the grumpiest man I've ever met. So we would chat. I was like, how are you doing tonight, Gary? He's like, if I have to play Wonderwall one more fucking time, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, because I remember watching them. I was like,
Gary.
I couldn't, because people seem so open to it, and I was genuinely shocked because in Newcastle, YouTube just isn't really a thing.
No.
So how did you find it coming? Did you like come to Newcastle and then start, or did you start before?
Yeah, so I wanted to be a radio presenter. That was my thing. So I did student radio, I then did hospital radio, and the reason I started making videos is because I wanted to have some footage for a show reel to show to agents after I left uni.
Yeah.
So I started filming. So I had Freshers Week of my last year, I had 5 days, and I thought, right, I'm going to make 5 videos in this week's, because there's loads of people out. There's an opportunity to make some content here. So I made those 5 videos and posted them. So I'd film them, edit them the next day, post them, film it, and the next day, post them for 5 days. And my mates and post them only on Facebook. And my mates were like, oh, that was quite enjoyable. That was quite funny. You should do more of them. So I just did more. So whenever, like every week, I'd go out and film, and I only uploaded them to Facebook because it would be all like tagging people at Cam. Oh my god, I can't believe you said this last night.
Yeah.
So on YouTube they did like, I don't know, like 12 views, but on Facebook they were doing quite well. I mean,
Because it goes viral in that area.
it goes viral.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say quite well, I mean like it got 1,000 views, and I was absolutely buzzing because a few people had
Which for
shared it.
Newcastle?
Yeah. And so it wasn't. I just didn't look. I didn't see YouTube as an avenue because it is so hard to grow on there from the start. And then we were talking beforehand about like big Facebook pages.
Yes.
A big Facebook page called Student Problems shared one of the videos in one of the early days, so that got like 7 million views on Facebook. This was in like 2 weeks of me starting making videos. I thought
You thought, I'm going to be the big deal.
yeah, I
here.
thought
look at
this
me.
is so easy. And so, but after that, I then very much like,
Yeah, because Facebook, when the numbers come, it's like rapid. It's not like YouTube because it relies on shares. The more shares, the more views, obviously. Where YouTube don't have like a shaded.
algorithm-based kind of
Obviously, back in the day, they used to have I liked a YouTube video like on Twitter, but they took that away for some reason. Don't know why.
I think you can link it.
Yeah, you
but
can, but
no
no one
one
does
links
that. Like
it.
it automatically would do it if you like somebody's video.
Yeah.
That's how like a lot of people,
I think a lot of
that's how you
people
get
got
noticed by bigger YouTubers normally when you see
Yeah,
them
yeah.
like your video and you're like, oh shit, how?
Yeah. But I think that there was like people were liking odd videos online, so they got like, I just saw a couple of disaster stories. Or
Oh, you
something.
could have it turned off.
Yeah, but people had them on and they just were liking odd things online, like as in on YouTube.
But that's their fault then, isn't
It
it?
is, but that's probably why they took it away, because it was automatic and people were getting baited out for it.
Nah,
But yeah.
maybe.
Them first videos in Newcastle, you seemed, if they're your first videos, you seemed really confident in them, especially public.
Were you
videos
drunk as well?
I
or-
was not drunk. People have asked me this. I've never been drunk in a video. There has been a few ideas of me to do it the other way around. So me to get absolutely bladdered and then like blattered, to get me absolutely bladdered and then like interview people. But I just don't think it would be very good because it requires someone who's going to be like.
I think the way you film them, it's like because the people are drunk, you're subtly, the way you do it, you subtly insult, but also it's not like in a bad way. So I think that's quite that would be quite hard if you were drunk.
Yeah, so the reason why I was kind of quote unquote confident is because I'd done a lot of presenting before that. I'd been doing radio presenting for like a year and a half before that point. And that's just really interesting you say about me taking the piss out of people. With the videos, I've always tried not for it to be like, I'm going to going to rip into you right now.
But it's not that.
Really?
But
that was the aim.
Because it feels a bit like unfair, because they're like in the early days they were quite pissed.
But it's not that you're not going like you're a prick. Like they'll say something and then it's the way you say it. It's like a subtle. It's not harmful to them, but it's funny for the audience.
Yeah.
That also helps because the microphone is really sensitive.
Yeah.
So you can say something under your breath that they will not hear.
There are so many golden comments that you made for the anti-masking protest. I remember I was watching that. I was like, oh my god.
And that was mainly because the microphone is really sensitive. I can just say it quite quietly, and they will not hear what I've said. So that's how I get away with like being attacked by people who kind of.
But it's kind of the same with like Nico's videos. You don't say anything bad. You just get them to try say something on their behalf, and then you're just like, right then.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything. It's just to look at the camera, because anyone who's like watching it would know exactly what they've just said is ridiculous.
It reminds us a lot of like Ricky Gervais in The Office. It's kind of like it's the looks.
Thanks.
It's a lot of the obviously nowhere near as good.
Yeah, thank you.
But it's the way like you don't even say anything. You just have to go.
It's just a little look to camera.
Yeah.
Simples.
Yeah. But how did you get to Newcastle? Because obviously you went to private school before, and then you went to Harrow, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're jumping ahead here, but I know Harrow is a lot like the push, economics, business, all that. So
Someone's been doing the research.
Yeah.
How did you decide to go into YouTube when obviously that, because high-paying jobs like economics and stuff, why did you decide to go into presenting?
It's a really good question.
Is that saying why is his parents paid hundreds of thousands?
Why have you let down your parents?
And he's became a YouTuber.
It's a really good question. Honestly, the answer is I hated it.
What did you do for your A levels?
So my A levels were economics, maths, and history.
No wonder you hated it.
Yeah, so like I went to uni.
That's awful.
I went to uni doing economics and finance, and like that was the path. Like you go to a place like Harrow, and my family have come from the city. Like my dad works in the city, and it was kind of like I did the work experience. I sat on the desk and shadowed people and I remember sitting there thinking, this is terrible. And so during my gap year, I kind of did things. I just worked in places because I wanted to see what else was like. So I took a job at Woucher for 3 months. I worked at Woucher for 3 months, and I was I wasn't given a title. So I said
from Harrow to Woucher to YouTube.
Yeah,
is that the weirdest?
I would just take a moment for each mum and dad. Yeah, this time.
I was like, I want to get a job. I want to earn money. So I looked up, and there was a job going at Woucher, and I remember I didn't have a job title. I was merely literally just putting data into spreadsheets. So I remember asking my boss whether I could have a job title. She was like, yeah, sure, just take whatever you want. So I made myself head of admin at Woucher. So I put it on the bottom of my email headers. I don't know who I was emailing. There was no one to email. But yeah, I was...
just your parents emailing them back and forth. Exactly. Head of Woucher at the bottom. Always doing well for himself.
Yes, and so I was kind of doing different jobs, and it was when I got to Newcastle where I started... I was doing economics and finance and hated it. And after 6 months, I changed to English literature because I hated it so much. I remember asking my mates, saying, what uni degrees do you do? They said English literature. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I walked into the English literature school once and said, hi, yeah, I'd like to do your degree, please. And they said, okay, what did you get in your English A level? And we've stumbled across a bit of a problem here. I didn't do it for A level. And they said, okay, I'm so sorry, but we only accept people with English A levels. And I was like,
I went to Harrow.
Have you seen Street Smart?
So I pulled out the Harrow card. Didn't work. But I don't know why I was so ballsy. But I then said, okay, let's do a deal, like some kind of like wheeler dealer.
Voucher days coming in handy.
Yeah, exactly. My years at Woucher, my training of head of admin at Woucher came in handy, and they were like, I was like, well, why don't we do a deal? So if I get a 2-1 in my first year in economics, it shows that I'm a good student and I'll work hard and I'll be a great asset to your department.
Asset.
And and I think because she probably just felt sorry for me, she just said, yeah, okay, fine. So and then I went and got that 2-1 in English in economics, and then ended up doing English literature. So that's why I had 4 years at university.
Well, I read something that didn't you do something about drama or something?
Yeah, I did. So I got involved with like the student drama. I got involved with like the student radio. So I was like really into
You were
like
really trying to find something other than economics to do, right?
I was literally joining every society I possibly could to see if there was something
just to
else.
feel something.
Yeah. See if there anything else but spreadsheets and kind of asset management.
Yeah, that's good though. That's good. Like,
And so
'cause
that's
sometimes
how
what
I
you need.
Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, what would your advice be for university?" I'd say join society. It's
Really?
very like you never know the people you're going to meet, the things you're going to go into afterwards because of society you've done at university. So I started doing loads of radio, and then that just over like 3 years took a while.
Well, what like intrigued you about radio and stuff that you wanted?
It was me.
Ah.
I remember going into the studio and like
So passionate.
yeah, it's pure like it was just exciting the idea that you could say something for 60 minutes and no one else was going to interrupt you.
Oh, right.
Welcome.
Yeah. And so it was like I remember putting the headphones on and being absolutely terrified, and then discovering that there was a listener counter in the studio, and just like switching it on and realizing there were 2 people listening. One of them was my
Huge.
mum.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Oh.
I was like, okay, who's this mystery person? But I'm going to give them the best 60 minutes of their life.
I was actually the head of Voucher.
I was head of admin at Voucher, my person who took my job. And so it was just kind of enjoyable, like, the creative side of it. I loved making the idea of making kind of segments that are basically just the start of a YouTube video. It's like we come up with an idea, but you could do it on radio. So I did. I mean, my first show on student radio was called Monday Morning Music Madness with me, Max.
That's a mouthful.
Is
and a
English
half.
literature alliterations coming in handy?
Yeah, I was like, just joined the School of English. Let's really
Trying to
show them what I
impress
can
them,
do.
look at me alliteration, guys.
And I remember what kind of segments I do. I did a segment where I think I would wear a microphone and go up to someone at uni and pretend that I'd met them in a nightclub the night before and just like get them to play along and
right,
see how
okay.
far I could push it.
Mm.
And I just love the idea of making these like really stupid, like little segments.
It's almost like you were always supposed to do what you're doing right now,
Yeah,
like
probably.
from back
I
then,
mean-
which is quite good.
Yeah, but it people say, oh, I've been trying you to do YouTube for a while now. It's not really working.
Mm.
It just shows that it takes a long time. Even if you're not doing YouTube, doing other things that kind of help you like get those kind of ideas flowing is a good idea.
Well, how long ago did you start Hospital Radio?
I started doing radio in 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
So 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Student radio from 2014 until 2015, and then hospital radio from 2015 2018.
It does say, because I think a lot of people will look. So let's say, just take the Dak and Jay video for an example. A lot of people will look and go, "Oh, Max Fosh blew up overnight," but they don't realize that it takes like 6
It takes
years.
so long.
Because people think most people are overnight successes, but very rarely is someone an overnight success, are they? That they've just picked up a camera and
No.
started.
Yeah, I was lucky that I was doing it whilst at university, so there isn't the pressure of like having
Yeah.
to sit there and be like, I need to make this a huge success, because I was just doing it in the background. It was something that I was just enjoyed doing.
Do you find that a difference now, where it's your actual full-time thing? Do you feel like, is it affected like content, like from doing YouTube full-time to having something on the side?
I think that obviously, I bet all of you guys would have experienced this.
Yeah.
Doing things that you did at the beginning that made you kind of successful, made people want to watch you in the first place, is not what you want to make now. But you feel a slight debt to make that kind of stuff.
Strange, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
your content's different.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that I see them buying a video and they'll do it again and they'll do well again and they'll do it again and again and again and again, and then they're like, oh, I don't know where to go. And it's like, because you're just oversaturated and doing the same stuff. Like
Jeremy Lynch.
if I have something that bangs for me, I might do it once more and that's it. Normally I have like a 3 and out rule. Like I'll do it 3 times, tell it to my TikTok series. But I mean, like when it's something oddly specific, normally I do a 3 and out, like 3 videos max. Like I know people that do just a similar exact ideas, and then they complain why their channel is.
I think sometimes you find a formula though with what you do, and people enjoy that content.
Yeah, of
but
course.
then obviously when you start to plateau and they've actually been relying on that formula, you're like, well,
Yeah.
how do I change the equation? kind of
It's
thing.
very tough for a lot of people seeing the views and seeing it might be temporary success, but long term it'll not be good for you. But it's it just is hard to walk away from short term views. Do you not find that?
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with what Lewis said where you can, if you find something that works, like at least stagger it. Like you can do it again, but stagger it a little bit.
Yeah, like sometimes if I get a banger video, I'll do that again in 3 months.
Yeah.
Not next week. Oh, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
So
and
I've
again.
found that with my Posh series. Like I did a video where I went to a really posh uni and filmed there, and that like banged on
that where they're all in,
Facebook.
like, suits and
yeah,
stuff?
like
and the best thing is you want to give it time. 1, to build hype for your audience. 2, so you can make it as good as you can. And 3, people will come back. Like if they've seen you've done 20 of them, they're gonna be like, oh, like in the space of like 6 months. But if they see like one every 4 months, they'll be like, oh,
Yeah,
it's kind of like Cody Cole and Noel Miller. That's cringe. They rarely upload it, but when they do, you're like, I have to watch it because they rarely upload it.
yeah.
Well,
So-
I've always wanted to, like, how many times do I say to you, I want to start a series?
Today, one day he'll come up to me and went, I've got a series. How's this? And he'll just name like a whole series. I go, yeah, do it. And then he doesn't do it.
That's why I've been interested to get you on, because your street smart thing, instantly, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what you title the video, as long as it's street smart, people will watch for street smart, which I think is really interesting for your channel, because you upload on that street smart, it's not just views for one video, they'll go back and binge watch them like I did.
So that's really that's I think what's been most beneficial for my channel is the bingeable nature of Street Smart, and people sometimes comment, "Oh, make them longer." But I just know as soon as you make them to 6 minutes, I know personally, whenever I see a video and it's like more than like 7 minutes, I think that's quite an investment in the time to watch that video.
That's how I feel, but I know not everyone else feels that way. Like I would, when I was a YouTube watcher, I wouldn't watch anything like what you're saying, like over 7 minutes. That was actually my rule, 7-minute rule. But then if it's someone you watch, you'd watch anything. Like my favorite YouTubers, what I'd love to binge, like that's people. I always, whenever I try to think of like what to do well, I just try to think of like what would 12-year-old Lewis watch, and I'd be like series. Like I'd watch a series where it's like longer the better type thing. But if it's a person I'm discovering for the first time, I wouldn't click on a long video. Like no,
Exactly.
no
Yeah,
chance.
definitely.
Well, on the topic of street smart and stuff, have you? What's like? It's quite a like generic question, but what is your most awkward encounter you've had when you've done it?
Most of the time, I don't really get that many awkward encounters. So I learned quite quickly how to deal initially with kind of people who were on nights out, and then just people normally when you're chatting to them. So people on nights out, they will give back to you whatever you give to them, but times 10. So if you go into like, hey guys, can I grab for a quick interview? How you doing? How's your night going? Really smiley, really happy. They're all, like as excited, and then it's great.
So they just whatever energy you give them,
they'll give back, and so that's really helped. Just going forward into just kind of normal street smart videos. I think probably the anti-mask video that I did a couple of weeks ago was one where I knew that I was going in there and people weren't, or immediately didn't want me to be there because I was wearing a mask.
It was so good, man.
So
I need to watch that.
I think it's just most of the time it's, oh fuck off, like what are you doing? Get that camera out of my face. And then in which case, like, that's no problem at all. All I'll say is, hi, can I grab for a quick interview? 2 minutes of your time.
Yeah, because I don't know if it was happy hour. The way you introduce it is always, can I have 2 minutes of your time? Isn't it? Is that?
It's
like,
always
much
that's
better?
I have the same phrase. Hi, yeah, can I grab you for 2 minutes of your time?
And does that
For a
seem to
quick
work?
interview. Seems to work. It obviously doesn't work every time. I mean, I'll probably get maybe like a 40% people saying yes, but it seems to be the most appealing suggestion to someone off the street. So like, yeah, I can give you two.
Because if they knew what it was, they probably would say yes, but they probably think you're going to have to like speak to them about Jesus for
Yeah,
10
exactly.
minutes or something like that.
So you've got to already, like in their mind, do I give off that kind of vibe? Yes.
like, would you like to help children with cancer?
He's got the kids in the back.
So you've got to kind of like immediately like talk to what they're thinking in their head. They're like, oh God, no, they're trying to sell me something, or what does he want from me? So often I'll say, 2 minutes of your time, I'm not selling anything, just want a quick chat. And like the series I do where I do the crossword with the public, so I just set up a little table and just do the crossword. I will always say, just to have, and people are like, why are you doing this? I was like, well, A, for a YouTube video, but most people don't really understand that.
Do you
But
find it's better with a table? Like when you have the little table?
it's really nice with a table because there's a set.
Like
There's
people like will feel more like, oh, it's actually something to do. rather
there's
than
something to
like,
do rather than
Can you do this crossword, please?
yeah. Like
On my
I
back.
really don't like doing the interviews on the street now with just a microphone because I feel very pranky.
Yeah, the kid. I remember.
2014 YouTuber.
Yeah. I feel like Leicester Square.
Like
kind of-
Vitaly, just going to tackle them or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, with the KSI one, it was a bit like that, wasn't it?
Oh, I only did that because I never really make videos to try and grow the channel. I make video. Obviously, I know what does well, but I've always seen people do like a KSI video and it bangs, especially if he reacts to it. So I thought, well, I might as well just try this.
I was going to ask you that. Was that to get on his Reddit?
Yeah, it was to get him to watch it and to react to it. And so as a result, I hated making that video, and I've mentioned it in the reaction I did to it because I'm so nervous. Which is, I've done this for like 3 years, been interviewing people, but I hate it because I was like, the sound bites I want to get from people are people saying, no, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
And normally it was older people I was asking because the older demographic won't know who KSI is. So it was a lot of like, I feel really awkward right now. I feel like I'm being a bit of a nuisance.
Well, it was that woman that went something like get a proper job or something. She said like
she was like saying that to talk about YouTubers, and that's what I wanted. I wanted people to be like, YouTubers are terrible, and but luckily it worked, and KSI reacts to it, and it unfortunately he's now taking it down. He's taking the video down for some reason. Yeah,
it got like no free press for you.
Yeah, it got 2 million views, and he was a big chunk of the video, and he was like, oh, that was a jokes video. There wasn't a call to action. So, you know, like sometimes he's done it with Becky and with Tom Stockdale, where like you've seen that they've grown by 100,000 subscribers. I think the channel grew by 3,000 subscribers. Which is still great. Like it was a great outcome of the video.
Weak from KSI, only 3,000 what?
Yeah, play that man.
Yeah, so I was expecting it to bang. Like, oh my god, here we go.
Yeah.
And I bet you get some comments that are like, you've only got that many subs because KSI reacted, and you're like, if only you knew that I got like nothing from that.
Because the way you titled your reaction was like, oh my god, KSI put me in his video.
I'm reacting to this for views.
Yeah.
So like I made sure that I wanted to make, because I don't do reaction videos at all.
Oh, you should have made it a proper commentary. Sad face, KSI responded to my video. That's what I would have done. Sad face, KSI responded.
And in the thumbnail I talk about, like I looked at other thumbnails that people had done for KSI reaction videos.
I think you were actually one of them. I looked at
probably.
It was where you and KSI are on.
Yeah, well, you were one of them.
Yeah, I think KSI's like laughing, and I'm like, I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
That got like 500,000 for you, didn't it?
Almost, yeah.
You lucky bastard.
No. Well, he did. He said. KSI said to me, "You're funny, but you're weird, but you're funny," and I didn't really know what to take it with that. He said, "You're a weird guy, but you're funny." I went, "Don't know what to take from that." But thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Talking about interactions with other YouTubers, Charlie said beforehand you've got like a story with Vitaly.
Yeah, I do. Lewis mentioned it. So as I've grown, I've kind of wanted to do things that are slightly bigger, like in terms of videos. And one of my great inspirations on YouTube is one of the reasons I've like taken the Street Smart series idea from was Kasim G. I don't know whether you remember him from like old school, like 10 years ago. He used to be on Venice Beach, and he was this really gangly guy who wore like a wolf t-shirt. And he was savage. Anyway, he would go every year.
That was my content I used to watch.
Yeah.
I forgot their names. I watched so many of them.
Yeah, and he made a video series where he went to porn conventions every year and would like see the same porn stars and have like, this really weirdly like wholesome interactions with these porn stars.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of this year, beginning of like New Year, I kind of like, oh, actually, I want to know when this, because there's one big one called the AVN in Las Vegas. I thought, oh, I wonder when it is this year. And I went online. And it was 2 weeks' time. So I thought, do I...
Better pack my bags.
Yeah, I was like, do I go? So I kind of packed my bags. I flew to Vegas by myself and stayed in a hotel.
Who was your cameraman?
And I found someone from Instagram.
What, who's in Vegas right now?
Yeah.
Who's up?
I literally typed in #filmmakers of Las Vegas into Instagram, and like I said, I'll pay you $50 to come and film.
That must have been an interesting DM.
Yeah. Do you want to come to a porn convention with a random man off Instagram?
Yeah, do you want to be a cameraman at a porn convention? Right, what am I filming?
Trust me, in Vegas, that is so normal. And so I went there and I do a stand-up show where I talk a lot about this, so I just skipped to the Vitaly bit. But I saw Vitaly was there. And he was surrounded by, because he's now in the porn industry in some way, and so he was surrounded by loads of girls. And
he was on the Bang Bus like 10 years ago.
But didn't he do like in the World Cup final? Didn't someone strip him?
His girlfriend stripped and wore like a mankini kind of thing.
No, but
it was class to be fair.
Yeah,
no.
He was on Bang. You didn't know that?
I didn't know he was on Bang Bus.
Before he did YouTube, he was on Bang Bus, and he was really poor. He's done a video about it. It's quite sad. I don't know why it's sad.
Was he banging on Bang Bus, or was he just on the Bang Bus?
He was about to bang.
Just waiting for his
So it was him and his mate got offered to obviously shoot a porno, and he couldn't get hard. And there's a video on it. I mean, There's a video on it online.
So is he now working in porn? Kind of it's like retribution.
It's like, just like, now made my success. I'm going to just do everything on the bang bus now.
That's what happens when you abuse roids. I'm sorry. Don't bat at me.
Well,
please.
he was there at this convention. He was there at this convention. I thought this would be great for the video if I can interview him. So I walked up to him and he was already like shouting, being really like obnoxious and loud. I was like, "Hey man, can I grab for a quick interview for my YouTube channel?" And he looked at me and said, "How many subscribers do you have?" And I said,
how did it, like quite condescending? Like, oh, how many? Like,
no, it was like, yo, dude, how many subscribers do you have? And I took that to be like, you can only have an interview if you have enough subscribers. So I then said, I've got 125K. Like, is that okay? And he was like, why are you asking if that's okay? Like, of course I'll do it, man. For God's sake, for fuck's sake, what are you talking about? And got immediately very aggressive towards me. I was like, okay.
I love you, Vitaly, man.
Yeah. So then
I love the pranks.
I then like, he was like, okay, let's do it. Let's go now. Let's film now. I was like, okay. So I got.
Was he on gear or something?
He was definitely on something.
Yeah.
I honestly had a 30-second interaction with him, and I didn't know what to ask him. I was like,
You just froze.
I completely. You can see it in the video. I think
He's quite big, isn't he? Like tall wise.
he's quite big. He was obviously very muscular. He was surrounded by 4 girls. He was calling them over, and they like lined up next to him on either side.
Like the fucking Power Rangers.
Yeah, honestly.
It's like Avengers Assemble.
He was going
like little holes.
he was calling them. He was like, Brittany, Crystal. And they were like, Kane. And they stood next to him.
Assemble.
Avengers Assemble. And then you can see in the video, I completely freeze. And at one point, he takes my microphone and then like...
You're getting Alfred here.
He then puts his mouth around my microphone.
What did he do? Could you just do it for
Yeah, that's going to haunt me.
Straight into me.
That's been clipped. And he put his mouth around the microphone and like sucks it and screams. And I take it back and my face like, okay, I think we're done here. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to just piss off now. So that was my it was a 45-second whirlwind of an interaction with Vitaly. He was on a lot of things.
And is that on your
definitely.
channel?
That's on my channel, yeah.
Why did you leave it if it on? Just because you could use it for that? Or
Why did I leave it in the...
You seem like you were so uncomfortable by the interaction. I don't feel like kind of PTSD.
Because I think
Like,
I left
what's
it
just
in.
happened?
I left it in because just the fact that having Vitaly on the channel and he comes across so badly.
Oh, okay.
It's like, well, obviously I'm going to keep that in.
Did it do well?
No, because he got it did pretty well. I mean, all the horny teenagers on YouTube. It didn't get monetized, but I think it did pretty well. But I mean, I spent like what 700 quid on that whole trip of flights and accommodation.
That's not that bad.
Your
No,
mic sucked.
I was doing it on a budget.
Yeah. Well, he
Yeah.
spent that on goats
Yeah,
a couple weeks
that's pretty
ago.
much
So.
goat yoga for me. I was just like, oh, 4K, yeah.
Like so I made no money from it, but it was it's
an
kind
experience,
of
though, right?
it was great experience, but it was something that my sister said previously. It's like type 2 fun. It's like when you're there, you are hating it. I was really not enjoying myself as I just want to get this and get out. But watching back, I can be like, oh, that was actually a really crazy experience.
Did you have any
that I had.
nice interactions with any of the people?
A lot of them were really nice.
Who? Anyone that were big fans of?
The only person who no.
So
the
did you say we?
Maybe.
Oh, actually, I did speak to the girl Emily, who's in David Dobrik's.
Emily Willis. Sorry, I don't know why.
You said that
Why
too
did that
quickly.
come so good?
Yeah, I
His
spoke
eyes
to
lit
her.
up. He was like, Willis?
I spoke to her.
I don't watch her content. I've seen her on David's channel.
She was very sweet, but the reason why they're there is for meet and greets, and so they're already very much on.
Ready for it.
Don't you find it so weird? Like, imagine if us YouTubers were doing meet and greets, but knowing that they've had a wank to us.
Well, this is the thing. People who were like lining up and going to meet them, and then they would like have this really awkward hug, and then they would ask for a selfie, and they'd be like, "I'm a big fan."
With their fedoras on, my lady.
Yeah, it was a lot of my lady. But what was funny is that all the girls had huge lines and huge queues of people waiting to see them, and the guys just had their little plints and no one was there. So they just
chilling.
They just chilling, just chatting
having
to
a
each
good
other.
Vitaly's got different kind of lines.
Is that
Yeah, that's her.
Okay.
But the cam girls were really nice. They were really like up for like chatting and like were really funny and kind of good value.
Did you do more than one video? Because I don't remember Vitaly in that video, and I was watching it. Pretty sure it was. Did you do more than one video?
No, just that video. He's in there. He's in there about 6 minutes in.
6 minutes, 14 seconds.
Yeah.
He remembers it very well.
The time that my world crumbled before my eyes. So yeah, that was my one interaction with Vitaly, and like it's the only negative reaction I've had with a YouTuber because like people always want like, oh, so tell me the time when you met this person, they were awful. That doesn't really happen.
You never like how many times really do you meet a YouTuber and you're like
An American YouTuber, probably a good 70% of the time.
True,
Yeah,
but,
I
like,
feel that.
Oh really? I've never. He's the only American YouTuber I've met.
I've not, to be fair. But I'm saying people that I know that go to LA, they're like, yeah, most of them are just.
I
pricks.
think, yeah, from a lot of things which I know, obviously, a lot of the people I know have gone out to America quite a bit, and they do get on well with quite a lot of American YouTubers. But the scene of like American YouTube to English YouTube, extremely different. But also the type of personalities that you have for English people in general, or British people, as opposed to American people. It's so different.
Like, it's almost like, for example,
It's so different.
it's coincidental that you said what Vitaly said, because I've had friends say that the first thing people say to them is not, oh, like when you meet them at the party, oh, hey, how are you? It's always, hey, how many followers do you have? What do you do?
No.
And
Well,
the fact that you said that the first thing Vitaly said to you was, how many subscribers do you have? It's just like,
it just
it
kind of
just seems
proves
like-
it just there.
Yeah.
It's like it's a very. I think it's a very LA culture thing though. It's not even. It's American, but it's like it's a very like LA business. Like you're going to a party for networking as opposed to going to a party to have fun and meet new people. It's like the
really
level of
interesting.
networking. I would network to meet people, to make friends, to work with. But people go to network to get work to then potentially fuck with. If you get what I
Nelk
mean.
did a video like that. It was really good. They pretended to be like bouncers at a party in LA, and they were like, "How many followers do you have? How like are you verified?" And then all these girls like, "Yeah, look how many likes I get per pictures. Look how many. Yeah. Can I get in? Can I get in?" It just seems.
That's so
Desperate.
so bizarre. That's why I froze when he asked me that question, because I've never been asked that question in my life by someone who I'm about to interview.
I've met so many UK YouTubers, and I don't think any of them have went, "How many subscribers do you have?"
I think
Or
it's because British people are just more sneaky about it. We just go to the loo and
Yeah.
look what look on our face.
I know everything about Max before he's even come.
Yeah, you're just sitting there, just like.
Really nice to meet you. What's your name again? Now I can talk to you. But yeah, so that was it was a random experience, but I saw him and I thought, like, let's go for it. I need to get this soundbite in there somewhere.
Max, I've got a little bit of a topic change, but I just want to ask you a question. Do you drive?
I do drive, yeah.
Okay. I feel like it's probably a very good time for us to say thank you to the sponsor of our podcast. Like, yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
Adrian Flux.
Cameron, we've paused the podcast for a very special announcement, haven't we?
Yes, Lewis, would you like to tell everybody what that announcement is?
I feel like this episode may be sponsored by the wonderful company that goes by the name Adrian Flux.
Adrian Flux. A company which specialises in new drivers' car insurance, Lewis.
And learner drivers.
Learner drivers. You don't even need to have passed your test to have Adrian Flux. So they offer stuff like black box deals, which we've talked about. How much money did you save on your black box deal?
Almost, I think it was like 50%, literally half my insurance when I first passed my test. I feel like
Half?
literally, I feel like I say this every single time, but getting a black box, it is a little bit of a pain because it monitors your speed. But when it comes to the money side of it, it's an absolute blessing in disguise.
So if you want to go over and click the first link in the description, you've literally got nothing to lose just to see if you can save money. Go and do that now. Thank you very much to Adrian Flux for sponsoring the podcast.
And enjoy the rest of the podcast. Bye-bye.
Just want to ask you a question pretty much about, so you've gone through like the whole of presenting, I'd say, is background.
Yeah.
You mentioned about hospital radio stuff that you were doing. Is there anything that you want to talk to me about, like a certain thing that may have possibly gone a little bit wrong at some point in time?
Yeah, so I did hospital radio for 3 years, and I was doing it because I'd seen like my radio idols had gone through.
Sorry,
hospital
I'm a bit
radio.
stupid. What is hospital radio?
So hospital radio is the radio stations that get played in NHS hospitals. So in hospitals, you've got
Can you
4.
not just put BBC Radio 1 on?
Well, yeah, exactly. So they've got 4 channels. They've got BBC Radio 1, BBC 5 Live, Radio 4, and then there's normally like a 4th button because it's supposed to be local.
Okay.
So you can like listen to what's going on in the local area. So hospital radio for years has been breeding grounds for like presenters like cut their teeth, and like Alan Partridge was made because the kind of people you meet in hospital radio are very individualistic. Let's just say that. So I went and I'd seen that people like Greg James and Nick Grimshaw had all done hospital radio, and that's where they'd gone on from there. So I thought, I'll do hospital radio. So I joined a station called Radio Tyneside that does hospital radio for hospitals all across the northeast. from the RVI to the.
Oh, he's put his radio voice on.
Yeah, I know, proper radio
Yeah,
voice.
go on then.
Is that your video voice?
Oh, yeah, I can put on a radio voice, but there's the best thing that I used to do, the most fun game. Cam talked about it earlier about how am I kind of confident with a mic, with like talking about things, is because there's a game called the link game. So but when you play a piece of music, you've got obviously the intro, and it's like sacrosanct. It's like you're not allowed in radio circles to speak over the singing, over the lyrics. So you have to try and get in what you've got to say before the lyrics start. So it's a whole game. It's called hitting the link or hitting the vocals. So I would play this game with my mates in the car. It's actually really hard. So you just don't have anything like to talk about, but you've got to keep talking, timing the end of what you're talking about when the vocal hits. So these are all little games that things you learn whilst in hostel radio. And I was there for 3 years, and there was the story I'm referring to that got me in trouble. I nearly got fired from hospital radio because I was looking up songs which had really good intros for like links.
Oh, no.
And there's an AC/DC song called Highway to Hell, which goes da-na-na, nothing, da-na-na. And I could speak in between those little bits. And what I forgot was that this radio was being broadcast to people in hospital. So I was broadcasting the song Highway to Hell.
Davey's in his bed like, what the hell?
When I was doing
Someone's taking their last breath, so it's fucking Highway to Hell's playing.
When I was doing it, I thought, this is prime radio content. And then I got called in by Dave, who was the station manager. And it was just lovely kind of Geordie guys. It's very kind of like, he's like, Max, what are you doing? Absolutely. you can't even be playing that.
Fuck's sake.
He's like, we've had a number of complaints. I won't lie. So I nearly got fired for playing Highway to Hell, but I have to say that link was absolutely banging, and it was the perfect thing to chat in between the little like chords of the guitar.
What a way to go.
Yeah.
What, to Highway to Hell?
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder where I'm going. Yeah, thank you, Max, for sending me on my merry way.
Exactly. So it could have all come crumbling down if I got kicked out of the radio world.
And that all stemmed from you joining radio societies at uni.
Yeah.
Well, at least you did
That's really
that.
cool, though.
At least because you said society was the best thing that at uni, but most people that go to uni, they leave with a drug addiction in debt.
Yeah.
So it's good that you came up with something, I guess.
Yeah, and it's not like typical to uni. Like hostel radio is in every local area. Some of them might be like better than others in terms of the equipment they've got or the amount of training they can give you. I was just lucky that Newcastle's got like one of the best in the country, so they were really keen to help train me up, and they had good equipment, and they were well funded by donations. But anybody who wants to get into presenting, there's always opportunity to go to your local hospital radio station and just like make tea for a bit, and then because it's unpaid and it's all volunteer work, there will be a slot that comes up.
Biscuit tea by any chance?
Yeah, exactly. Get some biscuit tea involved. Ask Cam Kirkin for the recipe, and next thing you know.
Well, especially now doing hospital radio with Corona, you'll have like a full set.
Exactly. You've got the audience bigger than ever.
Like Kevin Hart.
Huge numbers.
I feel like I want to move it on to talk about like from growing up. So
Yeah.
we've established off camera and also kind of on camera that 2 of us have gone to private school, 2 in public.
Whereabouts are you actually from?
So I'm from Notting Hill, as
Oh,
in
okay. The carnival.
as in the movie and the carnival.
Okay.
Did you ever go to the carnival, by the way?
I've been to the carnival. I hate the carnival because the carnival is just one massive event where you just seem to be going somewhere for
Which
3
you never
hours
get
that
there.
you
But you don't
never
know where.
get to.
Oh, yeah.
You never arrive
never
at the
know where
place
you're
you're going. So
Oh, it's great though.
you're always going somewhere, like trying to find someone.
Yeah.
There's no cell phone reception, mobile phone reception. So you're always going somewhere that you never arrive. So I've been to the carnival.
Yeah.
Don't like it that much.
Oh, so it's a great time. I always get battered on Ray and Nephews. It's always fun. But do you think private school was worth it?
I mean, I wasn't the one footing the bill, so I would say yes.
enough.
Whereabout is the
So
Harrow
Harrow
School?
is about it's near Wembley.
Oh, okay.
It's about
west.
yeah, northwest. It's about literally the opposite side of London
And
to where
what,
we are right
what
now.
private school did you go to?
I went Forest Schools. That's East London. But going to Harrow.
Oh, so
was-
East and
was-
West. Did we use like rivals? Did
Oh
you
no
know each other?
We were known. Eton called
We'll beat
us.
you at hockey this weekend.
No. Eton called us the grammar school because we're a bit more rough than some of the posher schools. Like
Oh yeah, I love that. You told me that you just got called the grammar. That's like such a like private school insult. Grammar school.
Yeah, but that's what it was, because whenever we played against Eton or something like that, you can see that there was like one kid was called Sergeant, and I
Sergeant.
Yeah, Sergeant, not Sergeant.
Sergeant,
Like yeah. But anyway, just the type of people that went to, meaning no offense, to like Harrow and Eton were.
Was he
very
white
different
British
to
as
what
well?
mine. Huh?
Was Sergeant?
Yeah, it was a white boy. I didn't get it. I didn't understand.
That's brilliant.
I was very but regardless, like
my
both
brother
still
went to private school, so I know.
Oh, did he?
Like,
did your parents just not love you as much or something? Like, was
no,
that what it was?
he was just. He played for Scotland for football and rugby, so so he got a full scholarship. Full paid for. And apparently, I could have potentially went as well, because if you've got relatives.
YouTube scholarship.
Something like that. YouTube scholarship, yeah. I've got 2,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
But no, he went to private school. Do you know what other private schools in it? Is there a lot? Because in Scotland, there's
quite
not
a few.
much at all.
There are quite a few.
There's
Because
only-
you
there's only
play
like-
each other at sport.
There's only like
Yeah.
5 I could
I
think
mean,
of
like
in Scotland.
for me, like obviously local schools were Chigwell and Bancrofts. Do you know any of them?
Yeah,
Sorry,
Chigwell.
Chigwell and Bancroft.
Chigwell, Bancrofts. There's obviously Charterhouse, Eton.
Radley. No, it's not
Where is
naming.
where is Eton? Is Eton like quite central? as
Eton's
well?
Windsor, so it's West London. It's just outside
Ah.
London. But Harrow and Eton are like the two, like kind of main
Prestigious
ones in the UK.
Prestigious.
And I mean, to go back to the question, is it worth it? I think that the education side of things. I had this conversation with like friends of mine at university, because most of my mates at university didn't go to private school. They were like, well, we're the same. We've got to the same place, and I totally agree. I think that if you want to if you work hard at any school, like you can make like whatever you like of it academically. But I think the experiences that Harrow just kind of gave you as an opportunity.
I think I'm so in line with that. I agree with you completely.
And just purely the kind of the life skills. So we were kind of, we didn't really know it, but from a young age we were taught to talk in front of big groups of people. So you were always doing like kind of a talk or a presentation to either like your class or your boarding house. You always met with teachers. You ate with your teachers at like meal times. So you were always having these kind of conversations with people who were older than you. So I think that socially it probably helped me massively. Like it means that I can go into basically any social situation and not be nervous and not be anxious that I'm going to say the wrong thing. It makes you quite.
Can't relate. I'd have to walk about my school hoping I didn't get anything fucking thrown at me. I'd get a fucking Hannibal smack in the back head. I'd be like, who was that? Who was that? People used to get sweets in my school. There was these little sweets that you could roll up and you could unroll them, and there were vicious whips. It was. Where the fuck did you go to school?
Prison. Yeah.
Oh no,
Scottish prison.
No, it was just, it wasn't rough
But
by any means.
To be fair, and I don't know about your school, but we did like plays. Did you not do like have to like role play things where you had to do in front of the school?
Role play.
No,
Yes,
mate.
we fucked each other, Charlie.
What are you doing, student? Need some extra credit?
Step away from Mindy's arsehole, Cameron.
No. You mean like like acting? No,
Yeah,
no.
like
No. You had to be big to do that, mate. If so many people in my school, if you said, "Oh, you're in the pantomime," they go, "No, I'm not."
What about nativity play?
I
You
go,
must have
no.
done a nativity.
At primary school,
This is a cultural reset for me.
like I was the angel in the Jesus play in primary school. I was so insecure because I was the only boy that was an angel. And then my angel wings fell off during the play, and I was.
That's why he still has painted nails today.
Yeah.
Lewis, I was Angel Gabriel, mate. If it makes you feel any better.
You were who?
Angel Gabriel.
Angel Gabriel. I don't know what if my angel had a name. It was just. I think my angel was just.
Just up the street.
This is just Angel 1.
I think it was just Angel 1, Angel 2. I genuinely think it was. I didn't get a name.
For me, for private school though, you don't have to necessarily talk about how much your school does cost, but like depending on what it is, everyone has the different prices. But they're not cheap. If I sit there and look objectively, if I was going to send my child to school,
Do you have any siblings? Were any siblings?
older
as well?
sister.
older sister.
Older sister,
Yeah.
Did your
Um,
siblings go as well to private school?
my 2 older sisters went to Newhall, but my younger sister, her mum,
Is Newhall another private school?
It is a private school, yeah. But
Everyone.
but,
What are you
yeah,
going to say about your child?
my child.
Your child?
Say about your
I don't have one. I don't have one. Yeah, if I have a child in the future, it's definitely something to think about. because the money, like Max said, you'd probably end up going to the same university, being in the same position. Financially, it doesn't actually mean, oh, I'm going to pay money, so I'm going to be better off or be an elite person. I never thought that, number one. I'm also not. We're also living in the same place. So it's exactly the same kind of thing. Our journeys have been different, but the way that you're brought up throughout the school system, I do value that a lot. We had like football trips and stuff. So I went to Spain twice. We had skiing trips.
We had that as well.
Okay,
We went to Spain.
But the
Yeah,
stuff
but it's-
Only like 5
but then-
students could go. Like,
Oh, yeah,
the
exactly.
stuff
But it's
he
like a year group.
mentions, it seems a lot better.
Oh yeah, no, but because there's funding for it. That's the thing. So you have like drama societies and.
oh wait, are you saying
drama-
that was paid for?
No, we
You had
pay for it.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
but I mean,
yeah, I thought
but
so.
it's like we went like ski trips to like Andorra and stuff like that in places. Then football trips, we went to Valencia, like the actual football club. and
My
trained
school went
there.
to Valencia as well.
Yeah, but I mean, but it was like the football program. So like it was the football team. It was a football trip. It wasn't just a.
Yeah, that's what it
gonna
was.
go-
That's what it was.
It's sick, really
I
cool.
wasn't in the football,
No,
but no,
but there's
uh,
so many things. and
my
like
brother was a good
extracurricular-
person to ask because he spent 4 years at my school and then spent 2 years at his school, and he was like, because his was boarding as well, so he was staying there, and he was like, education wise, there's no difference. He was like,
Precisely,
he was like,
though.
no difference.
But you
at all.
get out of it what you put into it. As far as it comes to education, like people can't teach you, put like forward to you on a silver platter. But like football, like if you're playing sports, like for me, I think the biggest difference between private school and states is that you have your sports programs and drama programs and art programs. Like that's just
Yeah,
how
I think
find it.
like my school never had like going to Valencia stuff for the school football team. We just went to fucking
Did you not have
the
any?
pub.
not like trips.
Well, what you need to remember is in Scotland we go to school till we're 18. You only go to school till like 16, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we go to school till we're 18. So
Do you?
yeah.
Like, what is it like year
So
12 and 13 are part of the
so
actual school?
I have to explain this to everyone, and people got so confused. And I'm like, no, it makes way more sense than the way the English do it. Literally, so you've got 6 years of high school, 7 years of primary school, then you've got 6 years of high school, and after 4 years you can leave, but no one does. The only people that leave is people that want to like join the army, like people that don't need qualifications type thing. And then you've got 5th year, because you do 2 years to do your A levels, don't you? We call them hires, and you can do your hires. And we do them every year, not every 2 years. So you do them every year, and if you pass them all, great, you're off to uni. And so you'll probably get into uni, and in the last year of school they'll just chill out. Or if somebody only got half their hires, if somebody only got half their hires, the last year they'd be spending just stressing. Whereas me, I dropped out at the end of 5th year. I got 3 hires, which isn't the best.
But I think it's interesting what Max said about how I think the difference is the life skill things. Because in public school, like I left so shy, and there was never anything where it would push you out your comfort zone. Whereas it seems like the 4th year to develop in private school.
Did you have like any kind of societies or stuff which you had at Harrow or
At
anything?
Harrow, so like there was literally, we did all sorts like drama. To give you an idea, like you talking about earlier, how no one would ever do like the pantomime. So there was at my school something called first year drama. So it meant that every single boy that came to the school had to be in a play in their first year that they had to perform to the rest of the school.
That's mental.
So like, and
is that just a confidence building
it was a
thing?
confidence build, but also really like puts you out your comfort zone. As Cam said, there's another thing in your boarding house. There's the school, and then each person there's 12 boarding houses where you live. And at the end of every term, there would be like a big like dinner and something called songs, where you'd sing like school songs and stuff like that. Every boy had to do a solo in front of the whole house. So that's 70 boys, who range from 13 to 18, plus
solo?
teachers. Every single
Was it Highway
boy.
to Hell?
Rachel Attention.
And I think it had to be. It was always the same. It was always the same song. But and it didn't matter how bad
same
you
song.
were. It didn't matter. It was a verse of a song. Didn't matter
Not
how,
every 70 people had to do that.
Well,
like
they did every not every.
maybe
single
like
song.
consecutive. Like you've
Here's
heard it 70
Benedict
times.
with Slim Shady. My name is.
So in your first year, you had to do a solo. So it was just a way of kind of pushing you. It was absolutely terrifying. If you like weren't a singer, it's terrifying. But the good thing is that
you could sing it?
I can. Yeah. So I've joined a choir and I've been in London.
Ooh.
Just like again to go back
Go
to
on
things
then.
that you like join doing extra things just because you enjoy them. It's also been so helpful for me because I met my agent who now represents me through that choir.
Oh, really?
So doing things like that, you never know what's gonna. I did it because I enjoyed singing, but as a result, I got an agent that I never would have ever been able to get in the door with.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume you had houses, right? Like at Harrow.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So, like, what house were you in at Harrow?
So I was in a house called Brad B's, and
that sounds like a boy band.
yeah,
The Brad
Brad
Bees.
Bees.
The Bradbees. Up next to Bradbees.
How many houses did you have?
there were 13 houses.
13 houses.
13.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We had
had
8 in the boys' school, and then 6 for girls, and now it's 7 and 7 for equality.
Wait, was yours all boys school?
All boys.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So there was 75 boys between the ages of 13 and 18, all living in a boarding
I
house.
thought that was each year, but that's all together.
Yeah, yeah. So there's 70
So
boys
everyone knows
per
everyone.
house. In your boarding house, you know everyone.
Is that per house though, right?
That's per
75.
house.
Wait,
Yeah, so it's
how does-
75 times 13 in the whole school.
How does football teams work? Do you have someone that's 18 and someone that's 13, or do you get in?
No,
do
because
you
you've got 13
illegally-
houses, bro. So like, it's like how many people did you say? 70.
70
75?
boys per house.
Yeah, 13 houses
Oh, yeah.
for the whole
So
school.
then there'll be like a house football
Oh, I
competition.
thought you meant 70 boys in the whole school. I was
No,
going to
so
say,
basically
jeez.
for like my school, we had 8 houses, and then we had our year group. So obviously year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
I don't know if you said this, but my brother, he went for head of his house just so he could get a double bed.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh really?
All the rooms were single beds, but he didn't care about anything. He just wanted a double bed.
I was vice head of house because I couldn't be head of house because I was too badly behaved.
Naughty.
No, because no one had ever been sent out of class in sixth form until me. I was the only. I'm an idiot, but my point I was going to say here with what you were doing with houses. Did you have like house sports, house
sports and house drama, and there's that's the other
That's
thing.
what we mean. Like when you say
Constantly
like you're doing that
competition
kind of
with one
stuff.
another.
Like we
So-
had house music as
That's
well.
like having competition between like it's nice. Like just like I'm competitive with anything. Like I'd get annoyed over like table tennis and that in school.
Oh, it's house table tennis.
Rowing. If I came second in rowing, I was livid.
You did fucking rowing?
For like fitness, like it'd be like who could do the most in 10 minutes type thing. Yeah.
So for your house like activities,
Not
and
on
stuff-
water, on machines, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Not on a fucking
So
lake.
for your house
No,
sports,
machine.
what did you do? Like,
So I was lucky that I was also quite good at sport. So it's quite like American. It was when I was there in the sense that if you were in the sports teams, you were kind of cool.
Did you get the little jock jackets?
Well, you kind of did. You got sports colours, which meant that you could
Yeah,
wear
we
a
got
different
colours as
colour
well.
tie,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you could wear a jacket or a blazer that was different. And so, if you were walking around the school with one of those blazers on, like especially to the younger boys, like 13-year-olds, you see this 18-year-old who's in the first team for the school, like. It's like, whoa, he's a proper big deal. And so I was lucky that I was good at cricket. So I was in the first team.
oh,
for
you look
cricket.
like such a cricketer.
You said it on Happy Hour that was one of the reasons you got to like hang around with like the cool kids.
Yeah, it was. I was allowed. Well, it meant that because I spent so much time with them in training and like matches.
Yeah.
I hung around the cool people, but actually didn't have anything in common with them at all.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't really have any mates from school because
I had nothing in common with the football team. Really.
I kept into a team just purely to make my life easy and to have friends because I was around them so often, but we had nothing in common. And so
That is
since
very
we've left-
American, isn't it? That if you're in the sports teams, you're cool.
You're cool. And I love drama as well. So like it was kind of you couldn't have both. It was literally it is High School Musical. you cannot have both.
We're all doing the solo as well. aren't we?
It's a Max Efron over here.
I am.
What was the female like sister school to Harrow?
We didn't really have one.
Because we didn't have because we literally had the girls' school, but then obviously there's Chigwell and Bancross which are nearby, and then
We'd
the
have
other schools.
socials.
Yeah.
So this is when you would go and like meet and they would be like a disco with a girls' school. I think it was their attempt for us to like meet girls.
Please meet women.
And they were so funny. They would always be so they would be so awkward at the beginning with the classic like school disco of like girls on one side, boys on the other,
and then find a girl to dance with.
Yeah,
and then it's like Notting Hill Carnival at school. Like, and then
there's like one lone warrior who just kind of crosses the boundary over
Like
to
no
the
man's
girls.
land.
It's like, guys, come on over. It's okay.
We used to do like Scottish Highland dancing, and I used to always find the person who was on themselves. They'd have to do it like with a ghost, just the air, and it'd be so funny.
What, Kaylee's and stuff?
Yeah, Kaylee's, yeah.
It'd been great if I'd the stuff like that. But normally, I remember I once did speed dating with a girls' school. But we were 14.
Yes, but who approved that?
It was. I think it was a sweet idea in principle. Like you go around, like meet as many like people as you can and make friends. And some people didn't make friends and like form those relationships. But I remember being so weird. I was sat there, just as a 15-year-old kid, just moving from table to table, and meeting.
You feel like you're 40 years old or midlife
like,
crisis.
so how many kids have you got? It felt very, very formal, but it was, as I said, I had like I don't like to say that boarding, like my time at school was either good or bad. Like it was both. Like it was really difficult times when I was at school, but it also gave me so much, and I had great opportunities whilst at school. So the idea that boarding school is kind of everyone, like I spoke about it a little bit on Happy Hour, like, oh, everyone is really kind of stereotypically posh.
Yeah.
And they all, oh, hey, nice to meet you, chap. How are you doing? Everyone calls him the other chap. He doesn't really like that. Like, I know I've got a posh voice, but
that was a brilliant Boris Johnson impression, by the way. That sounded like spot on.
good at work, doing good at work.
You set him off.
Oh, it's all coming.
So it was like, it was an incredibly privileged position to be in, but it's not
the be all and end all.
it's not the be all and end all. It's not the stereotypical environment that you kind of see in kind of like movies.
What I do want to ask, like obviously people that go to private school, their family has money. Was there anyone who was like, I don't want to say a descendant, I mean like, but like a son of like someone famous or like really
who was at my school?
Yeah, anyone you knew?
Definitely there will be a
famous
couple.
Sportsman or
there was in terms of like famous people's.
It was the last descendant of Adolf Hitler.
In terms of people who like parents were famous, not particularly that I knew of. We had a few people who went on to be famous sportsmen who were in my year in my house.
Oh, really?
So you talk about like getting sports scholarships.
Yes.
A lot of them came in halfway through, and two of them are now like one of England rugby players, greatest rugby players. So one was called Mario Itoje and the other was Billy Vunipola. So if you watch,
Vunipola, yeah.
If you watch like sport, like you'll know that these guys are like the equivalent of like, I don't know, Jordan Henderson for England football.
Yeah.
But they joined the school and they were kind of obviously the kind of the people to look to in that world, and they've gone on to do some really, really big things. But not particularly that many people who were famous who were either at the school when I was there or have gone on to do so subsequently.
I think that's a good roundup for that conversation. I think we've talked a lot about. Is there anything else you want to chat about?
What I do want to ask actually was, because I did see it on Happy, the stuff you used to have to wear.
Yeah, we had to wear mental stuff.
It was the hats for me.
Yeah.
And then
straw boaters.
What was it you had to do when you walked past it?
So we would wear, so during the week, so we had school on Saturdays and we had chapel on Sunday. So our Sunday dress was different. So our Sunday dress
was that school on Saturdays?
School on Saturdays.
Was that full day or half day?
Half a day, and then you play sport in the afternoon. But on Sundays we would wear tailcoats, so like black, like penguin suits, and then kind of like it was like your Sunday best, like proper old school. And then boys in the top year who were prefects wore top hats and had a cane. So like literally was like proper mental. But then during the day, like for weekdays, it was just like grey trousers, white shirt, a black tie, a blazer, and then we had a straw boater, which we would, because obviously Harrow is a town. So like you walk along the street and whatever, and you pass teachers. So if you saw a male teacher, you just like doff your cap, literally. Malay.
See, after the first time, is it just the most enthusiastic?
It gets to the point where you just put your finger up to it.
Yeah.
And then for a female teacher,
what happens if you're in a rush running?
You literally just have to like put your finger up like that. If you weren't dressed properly, you got punished. So there was
with the cane?
No, not with the cane. Okay. There was something called custos, which means that if you were dressed inappropriately, let's say your shirt was hanging out, your top button wasn't done up, you would have to report to. There was a teacher called custos. Custos means guard in Latin. Really mental, I know. And you'd have to report to him at 7 a.m. I think it was, and he would make sure you were properly dressed. and then you go out your day. So you have to do that for 3 days.
Let me make sure you're properly dressed.
Bend over, let me have a look.
No, lads. And so you'd have to do that for 3 days, and then if you missed one day, you have another set of 3 days added on. So it encouraged you to dress smartly and correctly.
Did you never get into trouble in school?
Not really. I was always a bit of a goody two shoes. Never really got into trouble. I think the worst I got was I passed a rugby ball in a corridor, and so I got lines for that.
Oh.
Yeah, I was throwing a rugby ball around.
Mine was stupid things. I think I got 7 punishments for the same teacher because he was called, I won't say his surname, but it was he had Doctor as his name, and I just thought it'd be really funny and really mature just to always call him Mister, just because it'd wind him up, and it did over and over and over. Every day I'd get what we used to call punnies, which is short for punishment exercise.
The last thing I want to bring up is I've heard that you're trying to get, or you are doing stand-up. How did that?
So that started because we talked about it very briefly earlier about the longevity of YouTube.
Yeah.
And like once you find something that works, then you finish, and then that stops being working, and then you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So I'm always of the mindset of you've always got to be constantly changing what you're doing, and so stand-up seems
just
to
something new, fresh, and exciting to keep you like interested.
To keep you excited and interested, and also to have extra skills, because although YouTubers have some very like transferable skills in the real world, we often just kind of sit behind a computer most of the time. So I started doing stand-up literally this time last year.
How's that going?
Well, I mean,
not right now.
Not right now.
Yeah.
We had obviously kind of done loads of. I did maybe like 10 gigs from December till about March, and then everything shut down. But my goal was to go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, do a month there, and then kind of announce myself as also kind of a stand-up, because I think in the mainstream media, YouTubers are kind of looked upon with a little bit of like, YouTubers.
Yeah.
And so I want to prove to and often we see YouTubers who go to TV, they can't make the jump because they don't have the skills suited for TV. Like you need to be able to think on the spot. You need to take direction well. And so I thought, well, if I can prove to bigger kind of producers that I've done stand up and I've done a medium which is kind of approved, then it will kind of open more doors for me, purely just a future proof, just to check that I'm okay in the future.
I think someone that's made that transition really well is Bo Burnham.
Oh, I mean, he's my hero. He's my absolute icon.
See, a lot of people who from YouTube who want to get into stand up see Bo Burnham.
Noel and Cody as well.
Yeah, but Bo Burnham's got like Netflix specials and everything, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And the way it's like seamless, like as if he's been doing it like his whole life, isn't it? The way he's so confident on stage. So how was your first stand up? Were you
terrifying?
Where was it?
Terrifying. It was in a pub in East Dulwich. No, sorry, it was in Dalston. It was a pub in Dalston, and it was a night where you basically had to come along and like do 5 minutes and then sit in the audience for everyone else. So basically the only people who were there
were comedians,
were the other performers.
That's quite good though, right?
That's good.
Did you get feedback from people?
So no one really. Everyone's very like insular. There were a few people who obviously were mates and had come together.
Okay.
So I rocked up and I didn't know what to talk about. So I kind of thought, right, okay, well the only thing you know to talk about is like your past experiences. So I just did the classic like private school thing of just talking about private school, and did 5 minutes of that. And I remember thinking, God, writing it at home and performing it in my living room and thinking, this is hilarious. And then going to this event and not knowing anyone and sitting at the back, and the compere who was kind of doing a bit of chat. And anyway, the guy before me, I think it was the guy before me or after me, he got up. He was an enormous guy, big puffer coat, and he was like, if anybody wants to heckle, just know I'm carrying a knife. And so no one knew whether this was an opening joke or an actual threat.
Did he come to make them laugh or for a fight?
Everyone laughed, and so I was like, okay. But I don't know whether he was joking or whether he was being serious or not. But so I then went up and did my 5 minutes, and it was fine. I think I've got it on my voice notes on my phone. I've recorded it, and then from then I thought, right, I'm just gonna get the first one out of the way, just get it done. No one knows I'm here. And so I did it, and so from then I've just been.
No one knows I'm here, but there's a guy threatening everyone with a knife.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, great. That could have gone really wrong.
And so since then I have just kind of curated a show. For kind of like mainly for my audience, because I've never sold any merch. I've never sold anything to my audience. So the only thing I want my audience to do is just to buy tickets to shows. And so I think the people who are going to be there are people who watch the video. So I don't want them to come and think, oh, that's not the guy that I watch online.
Yeah.
But alternatively, I don't want to go there and just do my videos live.
Yeah.
If that makes
Exactly.
sense. So it's a fine line.
Well, it's a good thing because I follow a lot of comedians on Instagram, and it seems like it's starting back up again. Like as of the last few weeks, is really good. Like literally, I had been emailing venues to get some gigs at the start of this year. Then obviously, big COVID bastard came along. But no, what you're saying about improv, for example, that's 90% the reason we wanted to do it, isn't it? The main reason we wanted to start this podcast was nothing else other than getting comfortable and good at improv on the spot. Cameras always on you, getting used to a camera. Same with streaming. That's another reason why I started streaming.
Yeah.
It's getting good camera on you 24/7, improv 24/7.
You can't edit, you can't go again, you can't read.
So that's mostly for improv, and then stand-up was mostly for confidence. I'm not doing it for any financial incentive. It's literally just for myself. That's literally it. I don't care about money, whatever.
Well, that's my end goal. Is I want a special on a registered platform. So if it's an Amazon special, obviously Netflix is massive. But that would be like my ultimate goal, to get a stand-up special like that.
But didn't you said to me that you'd prefer to have like the biggest audience you can before you go into that? That is like terrifying to me. I want to go in this as a random fucking Scottish guy that no one knows who I am, because I feel like people. Let's say if I invited my YouTube audience, they're gonna laugh at me because they watch my videos. Like my videos. I want to make a random fucking 50-year-old Brexit man laugh.
But it's like if you watch Kevin Hart on
Strange demographic.
If you watch like Kevin Hart on Joe Rogan's podcast, where he talks about before he goes to the stadium, which has like 100,000 people in,
which is mental.
He's done 200, 300, 400 shows in little pubs where obviously it's Kevin Hart, they'll know who he is, but people who necessarily aren't his audience, and he'll like test it. So that's what I mean. I want to wait to do the big show, but obviously I'd do it like...
No, but I'm talking from like a pressure point of view of like just getting used to, like people would, you said like people would still know who he is. I wouldn't have I'd prefer to be like a fully confident like 50 stand-up gigs behind me before I even announced it online or that, you know what I mean?
Yes, same.
Yeah.
Same.
Just literally just for confidence, and that's it.
Is it easier the more you do it? Like your second time, was it a lot easier than the first?
Imagine.
Yes, you get much more confident in just letting the material go. You get more confident in finding something that happens in a show and then running with it. And so, I mean, to go back to the reason why I'm doing it is because, like, YouTube, for me, I cannot see myself doing YouTube for like more than like 5 years, purely because of the mental strain.
No one knows. It could be another 2 years. It could be another 10 years. None of us knows.
Exactly.
Yeah, the mental strain.
So that's why I'm so impressed at people like KSI for being like doing it for 10 years. And
he did take like a 2-year break at one point. That's why I was literally saying that to you last week. Mind that I was like, if I'm still doing this in 10 years, I'll probably be fucking dead because it's just too much mental strain. I can't.
You also do 2 videos a week though, Lou. So like I can imagine it's a mental strain in itself to try and keep yourself to a schedule.
Yeah, like if you're financially secure, you could just do it whenever you want.
For sure.
And especially if you're fucking like
got
kids, family, shit like that.
But also in the other concept of like you're talking about stand up, so sometimes you can. What I like about my work when I go and do like filming, I turn up, I film, I enjoy the moment, I'm gone. What I hate about editing is that you have to continue and you have to go again and again and again and get there. Concept of coming up with like a video for like, say for example, whether it's the AVN one or if it's something like that, you have to come up with whole intricate concepts, how you're going to do it. Like that in itself is a stress to then do it. And then the doing it in the moment is what your stand-up is. Say, for example, like if you prepare your stand-up, then you go there. I feel like that is then done, and you can go home after it, and it's done.
And you also feel like you're also buzzing. Like numbers on a screen, you can never quantify how.
But when you see faces, generally like loving you, it's like
as soon as you do it to like 80 people, it's like. Fuck that way, and you see them just like genuinely enjoying themselves.
Even if you get like a positive comment, you'll be like, oh, you won't be like, oh, but if somebody give you something nice in real life, you'd be like, oh shit, that's so exciting.
So I mean, it's been, and also there's not many people who do it, like especially in the UK scene. Like the last person I heard doing it was Will and Stephen for.
Did you go to their show?
I couldn't because
they smashed it.
I'd gone.
They made it like a stand-up mix with like a game show, and I really thought that was cool because it made the YouTube audience be interested in it.
But I think it's interesting what you say that no one's done it. I really do think there's a gap because stand up is so before COVID, it was so big, and I really feel like there's a gap for like a YouTuber to really take it by storm.
And looking at it from a purely like kind of a skeptical financial point of view, people who have online audiences are becoming more and more valuable than ever. If you can if you can provide an online audience, but also provide something that like a producer wants, that's the perfect mix. They're struggling, I think, at the moment to find people who have both skills, which is why I think David Dobrik has done so well in the States, because he's a brilliant online personality, but he is really good on camera. Liza Koshy as well.
Yeah,
I mean, these are obviously guys who are kind of next level.
Yeah.
But I don't see why in the next 3 years I can't get to 1 million subscribers, which is when the mainstream kind of see you as a kind of a full-time big
valuable
YouTuber, but then also say, oh yeah, I've also done a stand-up tour and I've sold this many tickets. So ultimately it's how many tickets you can sell, and there's no better platform than an authentic kind of YouTuber that you watch who's doing a show that you want to go to.
I feel like we've got ourselves quite a lot of advice. Is there anything else anyone would like to add just right now?
I wanted to just going back. Have you got any favorite comedians that you like?
Oh,
like I've got a few.
I've got loads. I mean, Bo Burnham is my number one, of course. There is, I go to a lot. There's a group of comedians called the Comedy Store Players who go to the Comedy Store every Wednesday and Sunday before COVID. They did it. They've been doing an improv show for the last 30 years. Every time it's different, and they are absolute geniuses at what they do. Kind of going back as well, Eddie Izzard, who else? Jack D, Josie Lawrence is incredible. So all of these kind of people who aren't.
For me, like obviously I can find people funny, but like when I watch comedians, it's when it's unscripted. I'm like fucking like my favorite comedian, and it has been probably the last year, is Andrew Schultz. His improv in crowd control is fucking incredible. Some of his jokes that he thinks up, like I'm like, how the fuck did you think that up? Like, so I don't know if you know this, Charlie, because Cam knows Andrew Schultz is. He's a comedian that goes in, no script, improv, goes around, speaks to the crowd, it just makes jokes, but it's fucking hilarious.
So he's like quite fast.
Yeah, so he's very fast with like, and he's smart as well because he knows everything about religion, race, countries. Like, because he goes, where are you from? What country are you from? And he needs to have he's just really smart with it.
Dave Chappelle released his Sticks and Stones special, and on the same day, Andrew Schultz released our crowd work. Just an hour.
I've seen it.
Work.
I watched that video on YouTube, and I went and watched it the other day. I think it's took down now. I don't know why.
But he's shown that like on YouTube he's found an audience that really loves it, because like
same on Instagram, because he just gets trending topics and just talks about it, like political stuff.
You get clips really easily, so he's doing it really well.
He
Max,
smashes it.
Have you got any advice for someone who would be looking to go into stand up, as someone who I wouldn't say you're extremely experienced, but it's something which you really want to do?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much advice I can give because I've only really done like 15 shows, but I would say
to take the step, so to speak.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you just got to do it. It's the scary. The thing is, the answers to these questions are always the scariest answers. People know what to do. It's just it's scary to do it.
It's the same with YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah, and as an experience thing, like I said, you need to if you really want to do it long term, you need to get into it straight away just to build your confidence. Like I think Kevin Bridges, he said when he started stand up, he was 17. So he's still in school, 17. He just was like, his mates were like, oh, you're funny, you should go do stand up. So he just messaged like a pub down the road and went and done quick 2-3 minutes.
It's being ballsy and doing. I think people, this is more of a YouTube thing. People spend a lot of time when they're starting out on trying to find what their niche is going to be. They're trying to find out, what am I going to make that's different from everybody else? I think that's the wrong way of doing it, because you can sit in a classroom for so long, it's a metaphorical classroom, but it's going to completely change when you're making the video. So just make and make and make and make and create all the time. And you have to be doing it for the right reasons. If people send me a message saying, how do I grow? I think if you're sending that message, I don't think you're doing it for the right reasons, because then that highlights the idea that you're doing it to get big and you're doing it to kind of be successful, which I think is a perfectly legitimate reason to do YouTube or to do entertainment.
But you've got to have the passion.
You have to have a passion there to do it. The reason you've got to make videos when you know nobody's going to watch
I didn't do videos because I was like, oh, money. I was making them when I was like 11, 12, when you couldn't make money from them. I was just, all I wanted to do was just show my mates like my cool FIFA goals and shit. That's all I wanted to do. That's the main reason why I started making videos.
So just doing it for, unfortunately the advice is, just do it. Just do it.
It is.
All right, Nike.
Nike, I was about to say, go on.
You have to have confidence in yourself, because if you're an insecure comedian that's going up there with no confidence, how are people going to... If someone comes up there full of confidence, full of that, you're going to, oh, this person knows what he's fucking doing. Whereas if you come up like, oh, quite like...
The one thing I will say about comedy is that what's nice to know is that everybody in the audience wants you to do well.
And they want to laugh.
And they want to laugh. So
they're not sitting there. It's not like a fucking try not to laugh challenge. They're like,
yeah, exactly.
They're like,
so
I want to laugh.
The reason, like, you're going into already a warm crowd. So it shouldn't be the scariest. I mean, it is absolutely terrifying a lot of the time, but it is a nice feeling to think that actually people are there for the right reason.
The only one thing that I was wanting to add as well is when it comes to stand-up as well, you've got to, for example, you've got people like Milton Jones and James Acaster that play characters.
Yeah.
Then you've got people that play themselves. For me, it'd always be, I just want to be myself, because I'm not... What's interesting enough is a lot of comedians are actually actors. Like, they went to drama school, did acting, and that's why they're good at acting like character. Like, people like Milton Jones and James, I'm like, how do they fucking keep a straight face when they say shit like that? Milton Jones, I've seen him a few times. I really like him.
He's great. He's really, really good.
And once again, that's another person. Sometimes it's storytelling, but it's just one-liners, and that is like just fucking... What are you giggling at?
You're just having a great time.
Well,
You're having a great time. I'm loving it.
I'm just chatting away. I'm having fun. Like what I was saying, just for me, I feel like I'd be funniest just being myself. I couldn't do a character or anything like that.
I reckon when stuff starts to reopen, it'll be interesting to see you actually going to do it. It'll be nice to see.
Well, I'm super interested, and I feel like at least if...
And likewise back for you.
Well, come to a show, Lewis. When we're thinking of trying to...
Well, what we'll do, right? Me and you will get gigs at the same place. If no one laughs for your jokes, I'll be in the crowd going...
Okay, I'm gonna need it.
I wish I thought of that one.
And then you do the same for me. So just give us sympathy laughs if no one laughs. And then, we can do it as well. I feel like this sounds so fucking cringe, but I actually had this idea. My ideas come to me at the weirdest times, and this came to me like when I was fucking sleeping. I was like, there's so many YouTubers that are scared to do stand-up, but let's say they all organised an event where they all invited their audiences and had a fucking sold out like 10,000 place. It'd be fucking unreal. But no one's probably willing to take that.
I'll come on the bill.
I'll go on the bill.
If you organise that, I'll be there.
I feel like that'd be really fun. Like just a little stand-up night once a month or something like that. That'd be really fun.
I'm there.
A wholesome roundup from Max and Lewis there. It's beautiful to see where these guys could be taking their stand-up careers in the future. But if you'd like to hear more from Max, we'll be heading over to Spotify or other platforms. But Lewis loves Spotify, don't you, Lou?
Well, we want a bit of that. What do we want, Cam? We want a bit of that.
We want that Spotify deal. Lewis.
We do. We want a Spotify donga. So we can quit YouTube and just fucking retire.
What?
No.
We're going to be answering your problems on Spotify right now. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Go over to our Spotify.
But what did you need to do in Apple as well?
You need to leave a review. Like, what the fuck are you playing at? There's hardly any reviews.
What star?
A 5-star review.
5-star review.
A 5-star. So if you don't mind, go over there now, listen to our life advice, and go and check out Max.
Please.
Thank you very much for joining
and
me.
thank you for coming along, mate. That was really enjoyable.
I enjoyed myself.
Really
It was nice to hear your voice.
guest to have on. I hope you feel the same. Sorry.
And right, so go over to Spotify, season a bit.
Goodbye.